The Advent reading for December 5 is titled Tower of Vainglory, and the scripture is found in Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 to 9, which reads, "At one time, all the people of the world spoke the same language and used the same words. As the people migrated to the east, they found a plain in the land of Babylonia and settled there. They began saying to each other, 'Let's make bricks and harden them with fire.' Then they said, 'Come, let's build a great city for ourselves with a tower that reaches to the sky. This will make us famous and keep us from being scattered all over the world.' But the Lord came down, and he looked at this city and the tower that the people were building. 'Look,' he said, 'the people are united, and they all speak the same language. After this, nothing they set out to do will be impossible for them. Come, let's go down and confuse the people with different languages. Then they won't be able to understand each other.' In that way, the Lord scattered them all over the world, and they stopped building the city. That is why the city was called Babel, because that is where the Lord confused the people with different languages. In this way, he scattered them all over the world." After the flood, God blessed Noah and his family. He told Noah, his 3 sons, and their wives to have lots of children who would spread out and fill the earth with his glory. There was just one problem. Noah still had a sinful heart. He passed sin down to his sons, who passed it down to their children, and the cycle continued. Before long, God's people were disobeying his words again. They decided they didn't want to spread out on the earth for the glory of God. Instead, they wanted to stay together for safety and to work for their own glory. The people settled in one area and began to build a city and a tower that would reach into the heavens. They thought they were pretty great, and they wanted the whole world to know it. But God knew his children, and they would never be happy trying to make themselves great apart from him. True happiness comes from being with God and living for his glory. No matter how high the tower got, God's children would never be able to reach him on their own. So God came down. Because he is full of mercy, God Most High stooped down low to stop the work his children were doing before they climbed any further away from him. God caused the people to speak many different languages for the first time. If they could not understand each other, they could not continue to work together to disobey God. Noah's big family was then forced to spread out. People who spoke the same language grouped together and then separated from groups who spoke different languages. The place of the unfinished tower was called Babel, which means confusion, because that is where God mixed up the people's words. The Tower of Babel reminds us that we can't work our way up to God, but he loves us so much that he is willing to come down to us, even in our sinfulness. Many years after the tower incident, God came down to his people again. This time, he didn't come apart from them to separate them from each other because of sin. Instead, he came to save them from sin and bring them back together as one big family. This story highlights the fact that God's people disobeyed him by staying in one place and building a city and a tower for their own glory. But God came down and spread them out on the earth by making them speak different languages. And as we begin and continue to focus on the first coming of the Christ child, let us reflect on the point that Jesus Christ came down to earth to save people from their sins and to bring them together again as one big family.